Good morning, everyone. You're all very welcome to Underground Cinema. This is we're a little late in our season this year. We started in May, but we're going to be going hammer and tongs this year right the way through. So we've got an incredible lineup for the next couple of months. And I'm delighted that we have with us here this morning Adam William Cahill, who is the director, he's the writer, and he's the producer of Follow the Dead. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, fantastic, Adam. And I was delighted that you sent through your feature film. This is your first feature film, am I right?
That's correct. Yeah, first one straight out of college. I decided to sink or swim. So yeah, it's the first one, but hopefully not the last.
I really enjoyed it, I have to say, because I'm a big fan of zombie films, and I love the take on this particular one. Listen, maybe just talk us through it. Just if you can give us an idea what the film is all about.
Absolutely. So I basically wanted to do the millennial version of a zombie story. We saw with Shaun of the Dead, it was basically Gen Xers versus zombies, and with George Romero, you have previous generations and how they're generally social commentaries. And I figured that I could do not only millennials versus zombie story, but an Irish millennials versus zombie story. So it was basically, what would our generation do if we were met with the news that there was an unusual outbreak going on. And obviously we live in a fake news generation, so a lot of it is kind of speculation as to whether it's real or not. I decided to set the film in the countryside, in Forban in Offaly, so that when Dublin goes into chaos, the guys in Forban have no idea what to do with themselves. So there's speculation as to whether the viral videos are real or not. Then it's, oh, well, the government will take care of it, because obviously I feel like millennials are we're a very comfortable generation. We're very well taken care of, let's say. So we probably just assume that the Gardaí will look after it and the government will look after it and this, that, and the other. And essentially it follows four characters. The film follows four characters in Forban dealing with their own kind of mundane problems while they're putting the zombie outbreak on the back burner because of all of these privileges. And then obviously the proverbial hits the fan, as one of the characters says, when it's too late.
Yeah, listen, I thought it was a great piece of filmmaking. Look, I produced a feature film as well, so you know how hard it is. You're watching for 90 minutes on the screen, but the amount of work that goes into, especially an independent film. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, how difficult it was to actually put that feature film together? How long were you working on it?
We were working on, oh my goodness, for the initial script went from a short script idea to a feature script idea in 2016. We shot the film twice in 2017 because we shot it in April, and then I realized that I was doing too many of the jobs myself. So I was doing camera, I was doing sound, I was also directing. And I realized that the performances I was getting from the actors, who were absolutely incredible, Luke Corcoran, Luke Collins, Tyke Devery, Mary Beth Herrick, Christina Ryan, so many amazing, such incredible talent. I was like, I can't continue. We shot 60% of the film, and I said, guys, would you mind coming back in August and we do it all again? Because I'm going to get a team in. So I got Stephen C. Walsh in, cinematographer. It was a totally different experience then. Everybody kind of even upped their level even more, and that all happened over the course of 2 different shoot dates in 2017, and then post production took an awfully long time because I was so particular with how I wanted things done. The sound design, I ended up getting Robin Sherry Wood, who was absolutely incredible. He's won an award for his sound design now from the Dublin International Comedy Film Festival. And then Stephen McKenna came in. I went through 10 different music composers to find the right guy to do what I needed for this film. And he was absolutely sensational. So it took a long time and a lot of learning. But I feel I'm very fortunate that I had a great community of filmmakers around me to get it done. It's certainly not a case of me knowing what I needed to do from the get-go. It was just having that amazing film community that we have in this country, to be able to collaborate and get it over the line. And I'm super pleased that everybody was involved.
Absolutely, and I'm one of those type of guys that watches the credits right to the very end till the screen goes black. And I know not a lot of your crew, and it's a who's who of some of the really good guys within the industry. And also because I was watching the credits again this morning, and just as it was coming to the end, I was just sort of saying to myself, "Wow, that's a brilliant piece of music that you've used over the credits. It's a really cool piece." Yeah.
Yeah, there was a friend of Luke Corcoran's, Nick, who lives over in New York, I believe, and it was Gozer Music was his. Gozer, I believe, is the band, and they sent on a few different tracks that we were able to use within the film. There's a couple of little, like you can hear music playing on the radio in the background in some of the scenes, and they did that as well. But I think that you'd really need to finish strong if you want the audience to kind of to have a nice boost at the end and really walk away remembering the ending of the film. And that song really gives it that extra punch to I thought it was absolutely ideal. We knew that once that was sent to us, it's like 100% that has to be the end music.
Yeah, definitely. For me to actually even pick it up while watching the credits, it's something. So I thought it's a really good choice. It's a really great piece to end the film with. Listen, I have the trailer here, so maybe we'll play the trailer and we'll give everybody an idea what they're going to be watching over the weekend. Let's have a quick look at this.
There's dozens of videos popping up online. Dublin's in shambles. People are killing each other. Everything's gone to shite. And dude, it's feckin' zombies.
There's no such thing as zombies, Jay.
There's mayhem in Dublin. Is it a hoax, or is it really the dead?
Only you would take a supposed disaster and try to turn it into a fame grab.
Well, I say fair play to her. Someone needs to get the message out.
It isn't real.
Evening all. Lovely weather, wouldn't you say?
Whatever you say to her, make sure it ends well. You were hard enough to live with before she came into town.
What are you gonna do?
What I was born to do.
You think this stuff in Dublin is real?
We haven't heard anything back from the branches from the capital since the incident started happening.
I think at least one person could give me a part of a shell of a whit of a thought about what's been going on.
The zombie apocalypse.
The zombies are killing me! Where's my boyfriend?
In the wake of recent attacks, some insurgents have risen up, who've taken the chaos in Dublin as a sign that a revolution is at hand.
For revolutions come to Dublin, it's about high time.
You're not serious, Jerry.
Why not? What does the church have to say on the matter?
Well,
who cares?
Guys, I think it's about time we take a look at these videos.
Get up!
There's something out there.
Well, we know what we have to do now, don't we? Right. Head for the coast and board the first ship to Puerto Rico. I've been getting ready for this. Maybe this really is the end. We've cried out for destruction for so long that the damned have finally risen up to take us back into submission. Eternally the beasts that have sprung forth from the depths of our dark soul.
Excuse me while I clean my underpants. I'll never talk to you again.
What? That's a zombie.
Right, super trailer, Adam. So while I was watching that, a question came to me, okay? Reshooting the film, 60% of the film, how difficult was that? Because you're going over, we're talking about the same script, or was there major changes? Like to keep that sort of energy and those levels and the comic timing throughout. Was that difficult?
I think like the passion that the actors had for what they were doing kind of allowed them to there was at no point did I feel any pressure to kind of get it to to get them back and to get the same level of performance. If anything, as I say, once we had a bigger crew come in, they decided by themselves that they were going to up their game. Do you know what I mean? They brought it to a whole other level then. There were some script changes. It was almost like the April shoot then became the rehearsal, so to speak, because it did allow me to kind of go, okay, well, everything, I'm pretty happy with the majority of it. Of course, otherwise I wouldn't have reshot it. But at the same time, I was like, this scene doesn't work. And then it allowed me to kind of go, okay, I can take some of the stuff from this scene, put it in 2 different scenes, and then just eliminate that altogether. So I didn't change a significant amount, but it did give me that opportunity to make little amendments to the script. Yeah, before we went in, and shot it again in August. And
I suppose as an actor, when you do your piece and then 2 or 3 months later you get a call, can you redo it? It's a second chance, because I know as an actor myself, you do be thinking, and God, I could have done that scene a bit better, or could have tried something like that. So it's like a second shot at doing something even better than it was the first time around.
Yeah, 100%. I think that they're like 1 or 2 of the actors did say that to me. They said they felt that they had that opportunity to go to say to themselves, okay, what would I have done differently? And they were actually able to do it, because you don't normally get that opportunity. If you walk away from a shoot and you think to yourself, oh, I would have done that differently, you don't get the chance. Whereas this time they obviously did. So yeah, it did. I think it very much lent to making the performances that bit stronger for anybody who did kind of feel like, oh, I'd make these adjustments for next time. They got to do that, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head earlier on when you mentioned, and I'm a great believer in it as well, is when you surround yourself by really, really good people, it will just work itself. Now you got a really good team player there is Luke Corcoran, and Luke won Best Newcomer at the Underground Cinema Awards last year. You're good, you're collaborators, and you work very well together. And I believe you're down the sunny southeast at the moment. What are you up to?
That's correct. Yeah, I'm working on Luke's film now. So I'm working for him this time. I'm helping him produce Tuesday Traders, which is a feature film that he's shooting down here in Waterford with Alan Devine, Paul Ronan, Ciara O'Callaghan, to name a few. So yeah, no, he's doing incredibly well. And I do think you're right. Like in terms of our collaboration, Luke and I have very, very different strengths and weaknesses, and they happen to be the opposite to each other. So I think that in that sense, it was a godsend that we kind of came into each other's lives and very much wanted to collaborate, because I think I'm able to lend a certain amount of knowledge to him where he needs it, and vice versa. I was even saying it to him just last night, where performances are concerned, because he is such a very strong actor himself. He's able to, he has a much greater knack for being able to inspire actors to up their level in a way that I'm still learning. Do you know what I mean? So like, he's an incredibly talented guy. I'm not surprised at all. And I'm delighted for him that he won that award last year, the Rising Star Award. And I'm sure that star is going to continue to rise for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one last quick question, just about the feature. As you said earlier on, it was your first feature film. What advice would you give to a first-time feature filmmaker after going through the pain and suffering of trying to get a feature film on the big screen?
Wow. There's so much. Do you know what, Dave? I've actually considered making a course on how to make your first feature as a result of all the things that I learned on the first one. I think the main thing that I would want to convey in that course would be knowing what to prioritize, because I think a lot of the time people might assume that it's one thing when actually you may need to kind of restructure your hierarchy of priorities for what you want, what it is, especially where your budget is concerned. So yeah, knowing where to spend the money. So for example, in post-production, we ended up spending about 2.5 years maybe having to raise more money for post-production, because I didn't prioritize it in the budget initially. I prioritized the shoot, obviously, and then the post-production kind of, that was an incredible learning experience, realizing just how significant your sound is, just how significant as you pointed out with the music, not just obviously Gozer Music gives an amazing tracks, but also Stephen McKenna coming in and doing the soundtrack for the film. He was perfect, and a lot of people have said to me that the music really carries the tone of every scene, and so you like things like that. It's really essential to know how much weight every individual element has, And so therefore make sure you prioritize what really matters. A solid script, great acting, and then the music and sound does so much more than you might assume. So priorities, really making sure you know your priorities before you go budgeting.
Absolutely, good advice as well. Well, Adam, we're really looking forward to screening it over the weekend. But that's not your only film that we're going to be screening over the weekend. You've also got a short film in with us as well, Loose Thread, and also one of your actors, Tig, is the lead actor in that. He's also in Follow the Dead. Tell us a little bit about that short.
So Tig is an extremely talented actor, and he's playing a completely different role in this film, of course. In Follow the Dead, he's the comic relief, and he's won a couple of awards for that performance just by how much he does stand out. He's incredibly funny. His comic timing is unbelievable. But he wanted to do something more serious, and he came to me with a short film idea. So he had something written down on paper, and I was like, okay, there's something here that I can work with, and I helped him develop it into what ended up being the Loose Thread script. And so he had just this nugget of an idea. We fleshed it out, decided that he was just really eager to get it off the ground himself. Like he produced it, he funded it. So he was obviously very, very passionate about the story. To be honest with you, because of the kind of twists and turns in it, it's even difficult for me to say what really made him want to tell that story, because it probably just gives away the ending right away. But there's a lot of mystery to it. There's no comedy in this whatsoever. It's a very serious drama. But we got some incredible actors in that as well. With Jerry Grimes, Mary Carberry, Susie Redmond is absolutely, she plays a stormer in the film. So like it's and obviously Tig himself. So it was nice to kind of go a little bit of a different direction with the short and do something more serious. But hopefully we pulled it off, and people will enjoy it now over the weekend.
Yeah, like I know what you mean when you're trying to explain the storyline. It's best that people just watch it for themselves and make their own decisions on it. I thought it was a cracking storyline. I think it's a really good piece. And you're right, the performances are great. I think it's a tour de force from Tig, to be honest with you. Really, a really good performance. The back when underground cinema first started 13 years ago, the average running time for a short film, the magic number was 10 or 12 minutes. That's the magic number. So and film festivals all over the country would be looking at that number, because they're trying to program as much as they can to give as much content as they can to the festival. And then all of a sudden you get a film that's 26 minutes, Adam. Yeah. Now, over the years, I've seen it going from 13, from 10 to 12, and now we're seeing longer films. So we're now seeing films that are running up to 18 to 20, 22 minutes. When you start going over that sort of, when you start going over the 18-minute mark, do you feel that now we screen as much as we can? Underground cinema might be a lot different because we have the monthly screenings, so we try, and especially if we're doing stuff online, time is not an issue. But do you feel when you're submitting your films to the film festivals that sort of running time might be sort of a hindrance, so you may not get into a festival because of the time? And you're an editor yourself as well, so not only you're a writer and you're a producer, director, but you're an editor as well. As a writer and a producer, especially a director and a writer, you're very, very passionate about the piece. Yeah. An editor has to be ruthless.
Yeah.
It's to be a writer and an editor at the in the same film. That's got to be really difficult.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. I think the only way that I can kind of keep a focus is by just having the same rule for all of my roles, which is do what is best for the film. My lecturer in college, I studied in the University of Wolverhampton, Frank Berry, who did Michael Inside. He was my lecturer, and the most important thing that he taught me when I was in college is do what's best for the film. I was told by one of my lecturers, your end of year film has to be 10 minutes max. And I said, look, I've got my film down to 12 minutes. I can't go any shorter without really damaging the tone, the pacing, everything. And Frank just said, Keep it at 12. Don't change it whatsoever. If you think it needs to be 12, it needs to be 12. Do what's best for the film. And I really appreciate that lesson. So I as long as I'm doing what's best for the movie, I will try and be ruthless. There are times where it's a case of, you know, what's the expression, kill your darlings or something like that. There are times where you kind of have to go, yeah, look, I really like that scene, but it's not working. Get rid of it. But yeah, we couldn't go any less than 26 minutes with loose thread, and you're 100% spot on. It does, because they, you know, especially if they're having live screenings, it prevents them from, like, they could put on 2 films in that space of time. And so it does. There are certain festivals that are immediately going to be like, no, this is not for us. But I ultimately have to do what's best for the movie. I think it is the best version of what it could be. So I mean, it is what it is, and I'm just incredibly grateful for yourself and the Underground for taking it on, and that people will actually get to see it now the weekend.
Yeah, we're delighted to screen it, you know, and time is never really an issue with Underground Cinema, either live or online. If we feel the content is good and it deserves to be screened, we'll do it. So, look, Adam, we're delighted to have you aboard there with us this morning to talk about 2 of your brilliant films. We look forward to screening them over the weekend. I'll send you some feedback and give you an idea of what people thought about your films. And I look forward to seeing what you and Luke are up to now in the sunny southeast in the near future.
Absolutely. Dave, thanks so much for having me on. I really, really enjoyed this. It was great.
No problem. Okay. Take care, Adam.
God bless.